Welcome to the Coronavirus Diaries. This is the 6th episode, and this is the first time that I'm going to conduct an interview. An interview with a good colleague and friend who lives in London and is going to tell us what's happening there at the moment. Check it out. Mariam Zaidi, my first guest on the Coronavirus Diaries. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, and also thank you for actually getting me out of sweatpants. It's been a few days, so...
Mariam Zaidi is a very good friend of mine and a journalist, a colleague for many years. We know each other for more than a decade now. And you live in London now after many years of living in Brussels. And I wanted to ask you, how are things there and how do you feel being in London at the moment? So please tell me what is happening there.
Well, the thing is that, London is, as anyone knows, it's a massive, big city, a big financial centre, and we moved just about a month ago. But London now feels very small. It feels tiny. You're restricted, or you are sort of self-restricting yourself to being inside your flat. And the most that we're doing is we're going to the supermarket, or we're going to the local shop that's just down the road, or we might take a little walk. So London feels very, very small.
Everybody watches the news. We know in general, I don't want to get into the details of how many people are infected or how many people have unfortunately died. These things unfortunately also change every day. But let's take a couple of examples of things that you have seen in London that you have noticed and you want to share with us, perhaps.
Yeah. Well, first of all, the one thing I would say about the news is obviously take what you see, what you hear very seriously. This is a pandemic and measures need to be followed. We do need to maybe not self-isolate, but social distance. We need to take precautions. But at the same time, don't make yourself go crazy, confined to the walls of your home. What you need to do is maybe make sure that you are having connections with other people. And one thing that I found has been very nice where we have moved to is the building where we live. We have a Facebook group. We have moved into essentially a new build of apartments. And so because of that, people have set up a Facebook group. And it's been kind of funny. People have been sharing stories. We also have a pets group for all the people that have pets. One of the bad things of this has definitely been going to the supermarkets and trying to get food. But I think, the situation in London or the UK is possibly better than in Brussels. I've seen the horror stories of, the queues for what seems to be miles long. Here you can get into the supermarkets. It's not a problem. But in the big supermarket chains.
It's not everywhere like this in Brussels, by the way.
Okay, so again, there you go. See, again, horror stories. See, even I'm a journalist. I'm looking at the news and saying, oh, my God. So again, take it with a pinch of salt.
The queues are there also so that there aren't too many people in the supermarkets at the same time. Sometimes, it is actually for safety reasons here in Brussels.
So there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. See, that's where you need the information.
Speaking of this, I wanted to ask you, you've been living in Brussels for many years and now you're back in the UK. How do you feel about the different way that each member state of Europe is dealing with this? Like, do you feel like it's normal that Belgium is treating the situation differently than France and than the Netherlands or
I think so. I mean, well, that's a difficult question because I think essentially what people want to know is that the coronavirus, COVID-19, is under control and that there's a uniform procedure being followed, uniform steps, a very simple manual for every person to follow. But this isn't a simple disease. We still don't know. And we're hearing reports that possibly COVID-19 to some extent, I'm not saying it is, but to some extent it is airborne. It can live in cardboard, in surfaces. So you don't know what the situation really is, how this virus can infect people.
Not being sure exactly of how one can get it is something that has caused a lot of misunderstandings, from people just isolating themselves completely at home to people just saying, it doesn't matter if I don't kiss someone.
No, it doesn't matter is honestly, if you are the person who's saying it doesn't matter, I mean, we've seen it in, yeah, exactly. But I'm saying to the viewers, I beg you, if you are thinking it doesn't matter, it does matter. You know, we don't know what this disease is. No one knows. We can keep saying, you know, as the media, the experts, the health officials, your governments, they can try to give you advice, try to tell you what to do. They can ban you from doing things. But the best thing to do in this time, because we don't know, again, how long this is going to last, is just be careful.
How are you dealing with the fact that you're a little bit away from your family at the moment and it's not easy to actually get to them?
Well, it's difficult. I mean, as someone who has lived abroad for so many years due to my career, I've always been away from them anyway. My dad is a heart patient. He's over 70. My mother is in her mid-60s, but she has asthma. I have another sister who has, you know, various health issues as well. So if I, as a healthy person, was to get in, you know, maybe to have contracted something and I don't know it, and I get into contact with them, it could be terrible for them, and I don't want to make them sick. So the fact that they also live in another city helps me, because again, there's that separation, the physical, geographical separation. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to call them every day, but my dad, who's not used to that, who is happily retired, living his best life, reading every book, watching the cable TV all day long, lying in bed, having the time of his life. When I call him every day, he says, "Why are you so worried? Leave me alone."
You see, that's the difference with, for example, my mother feeling that she's alone in the house. We used to not talk at all, but now we talk almost every day.
But isn't that amazing? I find it difficult to motivate myself sometimes. And so I found that picking up the phone and talking to friends and family, videos, videoing also showing my cat doing something stupid, has been a lot of fun. And it's been nice to sort of reconnect and to actually talk to people, because I think we haven't done that for so many years too. So I think definitely this idea of community is coming back. And maybe that is a plus point to this obviously horrible virus.
Do you feel that a lockdown might be coming soon to London? And is London ready for it?
Well, if you look at what the different government departments are doing and the information that is coming out from them, yes, the lockdown is coming. They just need to find a way to do it properly. You know, this is a massive, massive city. But I think if you have already been sort of putting restrictions on your movement and your interaction, whilst also, of course, taking care of your mental health, it shouldn't be too bad. But I think the main thing in any lockdown, I mean, I think where you are right now, you're essentially locked down. You only have supermarkets and pharmacies open. And I think that is essentially what would happen to London as well, because London is the kind of, you could say, the epicenter, or where most cases of coronavirus have originated from in the UK. So I think it would be something sensible to try to stem the flow of people getting infected. Because obviously there are people who don't want to listen and who want to still go out and socialize. And in a way, you want to say, okay, we shouldn't be limiting people's freedom. But at the same time, I think governments do need to take stringent measures. So maybe a lockdown is actually a very good thing. But I think in that time, public messaging, government messaging needs to obviously go up a few gears just to make sure that people are getting the right information and they're not panicking.
Miriam, thank you so much for this interview, the first interview for the
Well, I'm
coronavirus.
very happy to be the first person on the Coronavirus Diaries.
You're the first person because we wanted to give an idea of what's happening in London. And because it's good to communicate and it's good to see you. Thank you so much.
My
And
pleasure.
people continue watching the videos. Will still be coming almost every day. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.